Hey and welcome to another tutorial. Today I will show you how to create this FC Barcelona logo inside Microsoft PowerPoint. So the left one is an image, the right one is the creation done in Microsoft PowerPoint. And it looks kind of complicated, but once you focus on individual elements, and like you can clearly see, this is just a cross, those are just lines, this is just a text. So once you start focusing on the individual details, you will notice that it's not that complicated. So let's not waste any more time talking and let's get started. I will jump to my blank presentation where I already have this logo pasted in, and I will select format, colors, and I will fade the logo a little bit just so we can clearly see what we will be drawing. So let's start with something simple or fairly simple, and that will be the main outline, the shield shape. So it seems like this is like the oval, those are just kind of spikes, there are a few more ovals up here. So let's start with the main shape, which maybe could be this diamond shape. Maybe we will try to somehow put this diamond shape in here, and I will of course open the fill properties and increase the transparency a little bit just so I can see what I'm drawing. I will try to somehow squeeze it like this. Maybe I can squeeze it even more and hope to match this line. No, it's not matching. It's actually not matching, so it's not like filling the whole shape, but it doesn't matter. Let's keep it like this. We will use this part and the bottom part. The next thing, I will right click and select set as default shape. That will cause that all the newly drawn shapes will have this fill and outline properties. So once I draw the new shape, which will be insert shapes oval, it will be already a semi-transparent, which will be great. So I will draw a new oval, maybe like this, and I will maybe make it a little bit bigger, and you can see that, you know, it's not kind of matching. It seems like that the logo shape or the shield shape is a little bit more, you know, I don't know how to say it. It's just more distorted. So maybe I can right click this shape and select edit points, and for the bottom point I can just make the handles a little bit wider and bigger. That will copy the shape more closely. So this should be like a bottom part of the shape. Let's focus on the top part where we'll be just subtracting all those ovals. So I will select insert shapes oval, and I will maybe draw a circle. So I will hold the shift key on my keyboard, and I will try to somehow position it to match this gap in here like this. And when I'm positioning those shapes, I'm always trying to kind of fit in the middle of the line, because once we start adding the outline, it will be added to both inner and outer side of the shape. So I want to trace it in between the line, the original line, which is kind of bold. So those two shapes should be fine. I will copy one more time, but this time I will probably make it much smaller to kind of match this gap in here like this. And I'm using arrow keys on my keyboard to position everything properly. This should be probably a little bit bigger, just judging on the shape itself. Maybe like this. Okay, this seems about right, and I will copy paste it one more time, and I'm just dragging the shape with the Control and Shift key being pressed. Okay, it seems like, you know, the original or our diamond shape is not kind of matching those parts, so I will insert probably a rectangle, which I will just draw like this and rotate it to kind of match this part. Then I will duplicate it and select rotate, flip horizontally, and move it on the left side. Okay, so this, I believe this should be enough for the main shape, for the shield shape. But as you can see, there are some parts in the shield shape which are kind of matching the outer part. So maybe it's a good idea before we actually merge all those shapes together to somewhere keep them around. So I will just select everything except for the image. So I will select home, select the selection pane, and I will deselect the image, holding the Control key on my keyboard. Then I will group everything, holding the Control G on my keyboard, copy paste everything, move it to the same spot like this, and I will hide one of those groups because we don't need it right now, we will need it later on. I will ungroup this group, holding the Control, Shift and G on my keyboard, and now I can start adding and subtracting things. So I want to add together this bottom distorted circle together with the diamond shape. So I will select format, merge shapes union. Then I will union all the other shapes, so all those circles, the small one as well, if I can select it, rectangle, this one and this one. So all the other elements I will select together and select merge shapes union. And then I will simply subtract it from the main shape. So select this shape, the other shape, and select merge shapes, subtract. You can see there is a little bit of leftover down, you know, up here. So I will draw a new rectangle like this, and I will just subtract it from the main shape. Okay, so we have the main shield shape, which will come handy later on. We can hide it for now, but we will show the previously grouped objects, which we will ungroup, and we will somehow try to scale those to match the inner parts. We probably don't need this. What is it? It's a diamond shape. We do need this shape, so I will just make it a little bit smaller, maybe like this. And I can probably, I still have to probably modify it a little bit, so I'll select edit points and maybe make it even more wider like this. Then I can most likely insert a new rectangle like this, which I will subtract from this shape. So format, merge shapes, subtract. So we have the bottom shape as well. Now we have a lot of circles, which I want to make them bigger. So I will select all those circles and I will try to resize them holding the Ctrl and Shift key on my keyboard, so it will be resized from the center to see if it kind of works to get the inner shape. Okay, I would still have to make few adjustments. Seems like the shapes are not really like the true offset, but that's just fine. That will still be very helpful. Okay, so I will probably get rid of those rectangles. I don't need those, and I will merge all those circles together. So select merge shapes union, then I will insert a new rectangle, which will be in the shape of this inner part like this, and I just need to select this rectangle, all those merge shapes, and subtract this from the main shape. Now as you can see, it's like two different parts, which one with the curves, one with the lines, so I still need this element or this shape to be two different shapes. What I can do is I can quickly draw a new rectangle, and I can select a function called fragment, which will basically turn everything into small pieces. I have this piece which I don't need, and I have the right piece and the left piece, which is the pieces which I actually need. Okay, so what we have right now is we have the bottom shape, we have the top two shapes, and we have the outer shield shape. So as for the shapes, we have probably all the shapes except for the text, and we don't have the ball. So let's focus on the ball first, then on the text, then we will move everything to the right side and start adding those different kind of fills and patterns. So I will focus on the ball first, and previously I was thinking maybe I can somehow create those individual parts of the ball, like filled parts, and somehow rotate them around. Probably the easier way is to just focus on the lines instead. So I will start with a new ellipse, so I'll select a new oval, but draw it with the shift key just so it's a circle instead, and I'll position it like this. And in this case I will set the fill to no fill just so it's not getting in our way, and I will most likely increase the shape outline because we will want to somehow position everything properly, so if we know that the outline will be this size, it will be easier for us. Okay, so this is the main shape of the ball. Then I will insert a new shape being the arc, which is somewhere in here. It's also in here for the basic shape, is the arc. And I will draw it like this and try to not move the image, but play with the handles. And I will most likely set the outline weight to the same size, which is 2¼ points. Seems like it's fine, so I will duplicate it, move it in here. I may adjust some of those points, then I will select both of them, I will group them together, copy paste it, rotate it, move it in here. I still have to rotate it a little bit more, and you will notice that once you start drawing those shapes that it's actually not being rotated by 120 degrees in the very same size. The ball is a little bit like a hand drawn or more distorted, so it's not kind of matching. So I still have to, as you can see, I still have to resize some of those shapes a little bit to match the background image, but this seems about right. Once we move this away from the original logo, you will not see any difference. Then I will insert another arc for those big shapes, and of course I need this to be much less rounded, maybe like this. Again, sorry, not move the image. Okay, this seems about right. Again, I will set the outline weight to the same size and try to align everything just so it's matching. So this seems about right. I will copy paste it, rotate it, move it to the right spot, rotate it even more, like this. I still probably have to resize it a little bit. Of course, trying to keep the shape similar as the original logo as much as I can. Then I will copy paste it one more time, move it to the right spot. As you can see, this one is much smaller, so I have to resize it to be smaller, move it to the right spot. It should be probably even smaller, even like this. And I'm using arrow keys on my keyboard to align everything properly. Okay, and I'm pretty happy with the shape, so I will ungroup those previously grouped groups, and I will group everything together except for the oval. So all the arcs should be grouped together, and the oval should be below them. Okay, that's fine. So we have the ball, we have all the shapes, so let's focus on the text, and then we can focus on the fills and colors and patterns. So I will zoom in, and seems like that the font is similar to the Helvetica, which is not defaultly installed in Windows, but the Arial is kind of similar. So I'll insert a new text box where I will type FCB. I will set the font to Arial, the standard Arial, maybe a bold one. I will increase the font size a little bit, maybe like this, probably even more, maybe like 60 points. That's probably too much, maybe like 55. And I need to increase the spacing, so I will select font, character spacing expanded by, I don't know, maybe like 10 points, maybe just a little bit more, maybe like 12 points. It's kind of hard to guess the spacing when you don't see it, you know, a live preview. If I show it side by side, it seems like that the original logo font is just a little bit more bolder, and what I can do is I can add the text outline. If I select text outline, I can simply add the black outline in the weight of maybe like 1.5 points. By default it's kind of rounded, so I have to right click, select format shape, and for the line I will set the for the text options line I will set the join type to not be rounded but to be meter instead, so that will give us those strong. If I zoom in, so you can see it better. So previously it was rounded, so those were rounded corners, but if we set it to meter, those will be sharp. Okay, so I will move it to the very same spot. Then I will select everything and show everything like this. Move it to the right side, and I will select the original logo and move it to the left side, just so we can start setting the colors and fills. For the logo itself, I will select reset picture, and I will right click and select format picture, which is the same of course as the format shape. I will start setting the colors. So for the background shape, for the fill, I will set the yellow color, so I will select the eyedropper tool and sample the yellow color. The outline should be of course black, but much bolder, I don't know, maybe like 10 or maybe 8 points. The text is black, that's fine. Those two should have the texture applied, so I will do it later on, but for now let's set the fill to be white and the outline to be black in maybe like, I don't know, 5 points or 4 points. 4 seems about right. This will have the texture fill as well, so let's for now set it to white as well, and the very same black outline with like 4-point outline. So for the ball, I will use the eyedropper tool to set the fill color, solid fill, to be this yellow as well, and all those lines should be of course black. So all those lines should be black. Of course the oval should have the black outline as well. Okay, so the only missing part are those stripes and this cross. So we will do it in a way that we will actually draw this as a separate image, and then we will use those separate images or separate shapes as a fill for those individual shapes. So let's start with the cross. I will insert a shape being the cross, which should be in here somewhere. It's here, shape being the cross. I will draw it with my shift key, and I need to adjust this handle to make sure that the width is the same as the logo itself. Then I will copy paste this shape one more time, move it to the same spot, and I will select edit shape, change shape. I will change this to rectangle. I will move this rectangle below the cross, select both shapes and move it to the side, maybe in here. Then I will sample the white color, or just set the white color for the fill for the rectangle, set the no fill, and for the cross I will sample the red color with no outline. I will select both shapes, group them, and copy those in the clipboard. I don't need those to be displayed, so I will just hide them in the selection pane. And for this first shape, I will set the fill to be picture fill from the clipboard, and I want this to be tiled as a picture as texture. That will cause that the shape and the size will be the same. I just need to position it properly, and I believe that if I set the alignment to be in the center, that actually not, I still have to make some adjustments to just move it more to the right and a little bit to the bottom like this. So I'm using the offset X and Y to move the picture or texture fill to the right position. Okay, that seems about right. Now for the line stripes, it should be fairly easy. I will just zoom in as much as I can over the original logo, and you can see I have pretty limited view because I have the selection pane and the format displayed. But I will select insert shapes rectangle, and I will draw it just a little bit bigger than the shape itself, maybe like this. I will set the line to no line and sample the fill color to be the red. Then what I will do is I will press the Ctrl D on my keyboard, which will duplicate the shape, and I will move it to the right side like this. Now what I can do is I can just hold the Ctrl D one more time, or actually two more times, and it will be moved to the same distance as the original ones, or as the previous ones. So the only missing part is to make sure that there is this background. So I will select the rectangle, and I will draw the rectangle like this, and this rectangle will be of course yellow. So I will zoom out, move this rectangle below all the rectangles, again move them to the side. This background one should be yellow, so I will sample the yellow color, set the no line. I will select all of them, group them together. That's really needed, but just so I can quickly hide it. But so before I hide it, I will copy this in the clipboard, holding the Ctrl C on my keyboard, or just pressing this copy button, hide it, and use this as a fill for this shape. So I will set the fill to be picture fill, which should be from the clipboard, and seems like that everything is aligned properly, so I don't need to make any adjustments for this fill. So the only missing part is this bottom fill. Again, I will use the very same technique. I will draw a new rectangle like this, and I will set the line to no line and sample the fill color to be this dark red. Then I will press the Ctrl D on my keyboard, move it to the right spot, and press the Ctrl D one more time. I will insert a new shape being the rectangle, draw it like this, somehow aligned, move it below the other rectangles, free one, move it to the side, set the line to no line, fill to this blue color, select all of those shapes, group them together, copy into clipboard, you know the routine, and use this as a fill for this shape. So I will set the fill to be picture fill from the clipboard, and seems like it's just fine. I can set the tile picture as texture. That will probably make it the same size as the original logo. I don't need to make any movement in here. Okay, and that's it. That's how you create the FC Barcelona logo inside Microsoft PowerPoint in like 20 minutes or so. As you can see, it wasn't hard at all, just a lot of repetitive tasks, but since we can use the texture fill for all those complicated shapes, we don't need to actually draw those shapes, then subtract from each shape the other shapes. But that's probably a much easier way how to construct such intricate parts. And that's it. Thanks for watching.